Duperas y duperas today on Doop by the River. Ciao ragazzo, we got dupers in Italy. We're going to talk about that loan deal that we all were talking about this week. Yeah, guys, what happened in DC actually did happen. We're going to review that, and you best believe we got some stuff to say. And, of course, we're also going to preview this match tomorrow, this Friday against New England. Who the hell is going to play? We'll find out. We're going to talk about that all here on Doop by the River. And let's get this started, guys. Dale! And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Doop by the River, the show where we follow everything blue and gold, brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on in. It's been a while, and I'm so happy to talk some Philadelphia soccer with you today. And, guys, we got a lot to get to today. We have a lot to let off of our chest. This is going to be the venting episode of Doop by the River. So let me introduce to you guys our host today. And I'm excited to announce this first guy. His episode, the review of Club America was great. Everyone was asking, where the hell is Eugene? Bring back Eugene. So, ladies and gentlemen, Golazo del Gringo, Eugene Rapinski. What's going on, Eugene?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back. I guess hindsight, I might have picked a little bit easier Twitter handle to kind of go by.
No, I love it. I love it. It's a little bit of a tongue twister at times, but we absolutely adore that nickname, man. And we're happy you're back here.
Hey, thanks. Like I said, thanks for having me. I'm always happy to come on.
Talk. We're talking some MLS 1.0. We'll see how much 1.0 we can dig in there, but we're excited to have him on. And of course, we got our guy. I'm so excited to hear what he's got to say. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Zach Lobasso.
How's it going? How's it going?
Not much, man. Did you prepare for this, man? Are you ready?
Actually, I didn't really prepare. I'm kind of gonna go off the top because emotions are everything.
It's like Elsinio in the 8th minute, just wing it, huh?
Yeah, well, no. Elsinio knows what he's gonna do. Elastico through the legs, and then he's gonna cross the ball, and we're gonna score. But he knows what he's doing.
There you go. And then last but not least, the man that always brings the fantastic nicknames. Please welcome Justin, the Union 4th string goalkeeper. He's taking over Greg Rashishishka spot there, Freiburg. What's going on, Justin?
Not much. And hey, with Andre out, you need someone to sit in the stands, have a couple beers, and God forbid Joe Bendick and Matt Freese go down. Listen, I'm ready. I got my gloves in my car. I'm always ready. So Jim, you're hearing this. Listen, it'll be a good warm up for the starting goalkeeper for Sporting Serotonin. Gotta get loose. Gotta get ready.
Shout out to Sporting Serotonin, great friend of the podcast here. Guys, make sure you guys do follow Sporting Serotonin. I'm excited to see. I can't wait till Joe Bendick walks by the River's End and just like, oh, you think you could do this? Here. He just throws you your sweater and then you're just thrusting into the game. I'm excited for all that. All right, guys. So, again, like we said, we got a lot to get to. So, let's get the business out of hand, guys. Do not forget, if you're watching this, we're on PSN tonight. So, what's going on, Philly Sports Network? Thank you for having us on here tonight. Do not forget to like and subscribe to Philly Sports Network, as well as El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel as well. And, of course, guys, you can find Doop by the River wherever you stream podcasts. We are now on PSN Radio. So, guys, if you want to listen to Doop by the River or the other great Philly Sports Network podcasts that we do have, you can find those all on PSN Radio. And again, you can find those wherever you stream podcasts. All right, let's dive into this, guys. First off, I wanted to say we obviously last night we were supposed to record the pod. We decided to postpone. We felt it was the best decision to make was to postpone the pod. Obviously, if you live in the Delaware Valley, you know what went down: floods, tornadoes, all the above. I just wanted to give my thoughts and prayers to anyone and everyone that went through it. I live 10 minutes away from Mullica Hill here in Glassboro. What went down in Mullica Hill was absolutely crazy. So seriously, thoughts and prayers to anyone who lost their homes. In Pennsylvania, obviously you saw the scenes in Philadelphia. Shouts to Adam Booth. I saw his story this morning. That was the first I saw. The Schuylkill River, I mean, it rose up, and it was crazy to see the Vine Street Expressway literally looking like it was funny. I think it was Man On put out there, Philadelphia looks like Venice, Italy. No pun intended with what we're about to talk about, but in all seriousness, man, thoughts and prayers. It was crazy. I haven't seen anything what we saw yesterday since Hurricane Sandy, about was like almost a decade ago now. But in these times, guys, it's really important to put aside differences. Obviously, in a time and period, where this country unfortunately is split the way it is. At the end of the day, we're human beings. We're all Americans here, and we all have to have each other's back. So, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone. And I'm glad that you guys are all safe as well. Hopefully, no one got to Eugene. What part of you're in PA, right?
No, I'm in Delaware.
All right, in Delaware. So the Delaware, no, I saw Delaware had a little something too. No.
So I think they had a tornado like way downstate, up closer to me, up by Wilmington. There was a lot of flooding. There was a video. Kobe Owens, who's one of the community activists in Wilmington, posted a video of a dumpster floating down the Brandywine River.
Yes.
So I don't think we got it nearly as bad as some of y'all did up in South Jersey, Central Jersey, Philly area. But we didn't get out of this unscathed either. So.
And Zach, you said Upper Dublin, the high school got hit pretty bad.
Yeah. I work up there coaching at Wissahickon High School, and I drove past Upper Dublin on my way there, and they got hit pretty hard up in that area.
Man. Justin, how's everything in the Echelon area there?
Surprisingly, it wasn't too bad. Even I was in the office today, and my boss lives about 10 minutes from me over in Summerdale.
Okay.
And we both said like it was pretty rainy, and at times the winds kicked up. Like it was, and like I was joking with you guys. I was like, I'll record from my bathroom. Like my parents were like, stay away from your windows. I'm like, I got an apartment. I'm only windows. Like there's not a whole lot to stay away from, but outside of a little bit of rain and some wind, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
But again, we were just lucky. I mean, I went into this to work this morning, and I'm right near University City, so I'm not on the street for very long, and it was crazy to see how much traffic was backing up on not too far from us, and there's 30th Street.
Right.
Where the water was rising almost on 276. It was pretty wild. And I saw things too. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I'm not very far from there, but we were surprisingly unscathed.
Surprising, believe it or not, guys, when we were, in the chat talking about what we should do for last night, once Justin put out that message, I was like, yeah, I think we'll call it a night. We'll do it tomorrow. I don't want Justin locked up in his bathroom.
I listen. I was prepared to. I got a closet with my washer and dryer, and a closet with the water heater. Listen, I'm prepared. I'm prepared to do what it takes for the pod. All right, listen.
Yeah, yesterday was about to be duped by the washroom, man. There you go. All right, well, so let's get to some soccer talk here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start off today. Obviously, we had a little bit of news this week, kind of big news. It keeps adding to this academy that's already accomplished so much in the past two seasons, you could say. But Jack DeVries, the latest duper to head over to Europe, we saw this rumor about a week or two ago. We saw the speculation, and it all kind of caught us off guard, especially the fact that DeVries hasn't been able to get on the pitch. But it's official. It was announced official by both sides. The Jack is going to head over to Italy for a 6-month spell over with Venezia FC. There's no secret. Venezia is definitely trying to experiment and look at these American players. They see what's going on in Germany, in the in England, and they want to take advantage of some of these some young American talents. So I want to start off with Eugene. Eugene, obviously being our guest host today. Eugene, man. Big move here for the Union, adding another youth academy product over to Europe in a league that, let's face it, I mean, Serie A doesn't really give Americans too much opportunity. So how do you see this working out here for the Philadelphia and the importance of it too? Or for Jack DeVries?
I think it's probably going to be a good move for Jack, if for nothing else, just to give him some experience playing elsewhere, right? He's come up through the academy. That's all he knows. And having to go off to a place where he doesn't speak the language and he doesn't know the rules, and he has to kind of get himself acclimated quickly. I think that's the kind of challenge that you want for a young player. I mean, that's kind of the positive spin on it, right? If you want to look at it another way, it's he wasn't getting much playing time here. is the conventional wisdom he's going to be able to get playing time there? Is it going to be with, their U23s? Is it going to be with, some other youth team? And if
Primavera.
yeah, I mean, and if that's the case, what is that going to teach him that he wouldn't necessarily learn here? So, it's one of those things. There's a lot of possibilities. It could go, any number of different ways, and you just got to hope that it works out best for the club and for the player.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. You make a really good point. Listen, let's not think that Jack is going to go there and he's going to make it to the first squad with Venezia, and then he becomes you star player over in Serie A. Like, look, if it doesn't work out, like Eugene said, he's gained some serious experience there, and he can come back here or some other MLS club or somewhere else. And I think that's truly valuable experience. Now, Zach, you are our resident Italian soccer fan here. I know you watch your fair share of Serie A football, or calcio, as they say out there. How do you think Jack is going to fit in Venezia, and what can the league kind of teach Zach as well? Or Jack.
We're both the same, basically. No, I think that it's going to be, because Serie A is notoriously like a very back and forth, high paced kind of style, kind of similar to the MLS, depending on the game you watch and the given weekend. But I think that being on probably the worst team in the league will give him the opportunity, if in fact he does play for the first team. There's rumors that he'll be with their like youth program or whatever.
They gave Napoli a tough game the other day.
Yeah, which either way, regardless of where he's playing, as long as he's getting minutes, that's like really the big thing for him, because getting on the field is going to get him more experience. But I think being in the Serie A is going to allow him to sharpen like how quick he is, not necessarily physically, but more so like up here, like decision making, because of how fast paced that league is. He's going to get the ball, and he's not going to really have room to trot around and maybe pick out the pass he wants. He's going to have that pass about a second and a half before he even gets the ball. So I think that's a big thing. And I mean, he's young, so he like Eugene said, like learning the language, and getting that experience of being overseas and seeing how a club with like a lot of I don't really know much about Venezia, but even like going to places like to play Juventus or to play Napoli and stuff like that, like to be in that,
or at the lot, that's crazy.
Yeah, in awe of like that history, like I think is going to be important for him to learn and hopefully bring back to the Union and do stuff with us.
I mean, I would like to see him get sold off into Europe, man. That would be pretty cool, seeing another Uni player making it 3 out there. Justin, what I wanted to ask you, man, the importance of this to the youth academy. I mean, what kind of player is Venezia getting in Jack DeVries? What kind of style of play does young Jack have?
That's a very good question. Because, as I said, you've loaned a player to a team that, I mean, let's be honest, the way they've started does not feel like they're staying in Serie A for very long.
As much as we want to.
It has not been very pretty.
Yeah.
And now the concern has been, oh, well, why isn't he on the first team? I mean, for those uneducated, the kid has been out all season with a concussion. And as we all know, concussions are no joke. Anthony Fontana has just come back. It can linger. I mean, it's a serious thing. And listen, from what we saw in very, very short spurt, and by short I mean like 5 minutes in the MLS is Back tournament, you got a kid who's got a pretty decent nose for goal. I mean, at least someone who's gonna definitely more of a winger / second striker, depending on your formation. But I mean, the kid's got a pretty good motor. From the little I've seen, he can run. I mean, that's one thing that the Union have, and that they bring out with youth academy players. The kids know how to run, and for all they talk about, oh well, you should really develop the fundamentals. He has the fundamentals, but you can't teach that kind of natural athleticism, that kind of pace, And as I say, everything else kind of comes secondary nature to you when when you've really gotten that down. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. Now, I think he could probably, at least for the first few months, probably going to be with the youth team just to kind of get reps. And this Venezia side does seem like they have no problem playing young players.
Yeah.
So you could see if he's there through the entire Serie A season. I think second half of the year you could start to see him get some minutes, and you could kind of see I think he's more of a winger, and we don't really have that. But again, we don't really know what we have because.
Oh, that's just Justin. Okay. Justin froze for the first time. There's always a first for everyone. I was like, oh no, I froze again, but it's all good.
I was okay. Woo,
there we go.
God, that was a
knock out of it, Justin.
That was a little freaky. But no, I think this year was supposed to be Jack's year to kind of seize it, and he gets hurt right before the season starts. Like that's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I'm definitely obviously like most Union fans, we follow our kids as they go overseas, and we'll see how he does. I'm hoping for the best because as much as I'd love him to come back and do even better, I mean, if he does really well and you sell him, like for having barely played with you guys, that's a bonus. So like it's one of those not every player's a Brendan.
Right.
I mean, you look at FC Dallas and I look at them and say, look at them selling Tanner Tessman and Brian Reynolds and like Reggie Cannon was only he's less than $3 million, and he's one of the leading candidates, to push for starting right back spot on the U.S. men's national team. Like, it's not all high money moves. There's some average money moves, and that's honestly how MLS works. And for every Brendan, there's a way lower cost player. Like that's how the league works. But the league's going to get that way if they at least understand like selling these players for sometimes for not the quote unquote top value you think you're to get. Right, may not always be a bad thing.
Right, I agree with you, and I think you nailed it on the head there. I've always comment like not too much, but I've always like never understood the college football fans here in America. Like we get a lot of Penn State fans in this area, right? And every time they see like a Penn Stater in the NFL, they all get all giddy. And I'm starting to feel that now. Like when I see Brandon Aronson, getting Salzburg into the Champions League, I get all giddy. Or seeing Mark, playing some critical minutes for again. Like that's all dope. And now we have another rooting interest over there in Italy. It kind of feels like that. So I get what you guys feel, you Staters. I understand now, and I won't come at you guys. So, but no, it's all good. But that was the good. Now we unfortunately have to move on to the bad. Now, as we all know, the Union have not been playing well throughout the year, right? And then adding to insult to injury, last Saturday, I don't know what it was I was watching, but the Union lost 3-1 to DC United. Now, look, DC, solid team, love what they're doing down there. I think Losala he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's getting these guys to believe. But the thing is, guys, since Audi Field has been built, the Union have never, ever lost there. Never. And it was something that was on there. It was a monkey on DC's back. And we allowed them to take it off. And just watching them celebrate the way they did, it made me sick. It flat out made me sick watching that happen. We are supposed to own DC. I know you're not going to always, it's not going to be like a 10-year stretch where you're always winning an Audi Field, but 3-1, you had a lead going into halftime. And I know it wasn't a goal that we scored, but man, oh man. Zach, I want to ask you, man, what did you take away from Saturday night's game, man?
Well, first and foremost, credit to DC because they absolutely 100%. Destroyed our back line like for 90 minutes. Like it was a nonstop onslaught of just attack after attack. And DC scored all 4 goals. Like let's not forget that we did not put the ball in the back of
one of them wasn't in their net, but still 4 goals.
They scored 4 goals out of the 4, even if one was an own goal. Which is certainly an indictment on the front line, which I continue to berate upon. But I think it's so hard to figure out what exactly is wrong. Besides the fact that we are probably one of, if not the most bland attacking teams in the league. Like, it is so hard to watch us try and come up with goals or even chances for that matter. Like, it seems like other teams at will just like are able to do 1, 2, 3 passes through and you got a shot. Now, more often than not, Andre saves that shot, but for us, it seems like you're playing long balls, doesn't work. You completely disregard combining in the middle of the field. And then you just go right to crossing balls from wide areas, which is the most, and it's not even like high percentage crosses. It's not like you get to the end line and you play the ball back to the penalty kick spot. No, like they're like Bizo's crossing the ball in from like 35 yards away, or I guess Powell for that case on what was it, Wednesday
The
play?
NYCFC at Wednesday.
And then you have Wagner doing the same thing on the other side. Like, there's just no creativity. And everyone is always like, oh, like Gazdag sucks. And I'm like, nah, like he has no options to play. Like, he is one of, if not the most creative players the Union have had. Like, you got Brendan, you got Marco Fabian, who was super creative, and you got Gazdag. Those are the three guys that come to mind. Gazdag does not have the forwards who are dynamic and creative enough to show his skill set off.
Thank you.
He loves to play little slip through balls. He loves to drag defenders in. And I've mentioned this before. The worst thing in the world is watching Gazdag try and play a 1-2 with Casper, Sergio, or Corey. And he gets the first pass and he makes the run. If the pass gets to him, all it takes is one touch through two defenders and he's in on goal. And the one-touch pass from the strikers goes about 10 yards too far, and he can't get there. And it's just really frustrating to watch because we don't have that forward. Like, Casper is, like, profiles as that hold-up combo striker because, let's be honest, he can't run very fast. So he's kind of got to be good at that. But even he's not great at it. Like, we don't have – like, in a two-striker formation, you need someone who's great at combining play, and you need someone who's super fast off the ball. We have Sergio Santos. We have the speed guy, and we have Davo on the bench now, too, who also profiles as that speed guy. What we don't have is someone who can help Gazdag create, because he can't do it by himself. And as great as Jamiro is, if he's playing at the 8, where he should be, because the 2-10s thing is stupid, and I don't think it's ever worked in the history of soccer. No one play. People don't even play with 1-10 anymore. Like, teams don't even play with a 10, let alone 2. Now, I know the MLS is a little different, and the 10 is very, very alive in Zelarian and Carlos Gil and all those guys. But to play with 2 when one of the guys isn't even a 10, I think Jim's just like as confused as we are because nothing he's thrown at the fire is working right now. Like, he is not able to get anything. And it sucks because we can't even try and switch to a wide formation because we don't have any wingers on the roster. Like, we have one actually, and he can probably only play 60 minutes maximum. So it's just a really tough time.
Zach, you bring up some really good points, and I've kind of thought about this as well. Like, obviously, Ernst right now is like, he can do no wrong because of what he's kind of brought onto this team. But when we talk and we continue talking about the attack, and I just keep thinking and I keep having this thought in my head, like, do we have the right pieces for what we're trying to do here? Because we talk about these dysfunction and how we're not getting this connection from the back line to the midfield to the forwards, and it's like, do we have the right personnel? Now, I agree with you that, Gazdag might not have the forwards in front of him to do what he wants to do, right? But even when I think about, so I remember the LAFC match in 2019, right? It was LAFC, the mighty LAFC. They're going to win the Supporters Shield. They're coming into town, right? Everyone's excited. And no one had a lot of high expectations in that game for us. It was like the first couple minutes. Kai Wagner, to Brendan Aronson, back to Kai Wagner, to Kasper Shabilko, early 1-0 goal. And when I look at that play and I look at 2021, dude, who's doing that? Like, where's the Brendan, right? Obviously, Brendan was playing that shuttle midfielder in 2019, but I'll pass this off to you, Eugene, man. Like, what are you seeing from the midfield? Like to me, I'm not seeing the shuttlers moving the ball up and advancing it the same way that we once were in 2019 or in 2020. What are you seeing out there?
I'm seeing a lot of disorganization. I see it looks like they're trying to do too much at once, and not really all of it is the same thing. I see a lot of, I think I see a lot of movement, but again, nothing that looks coordinated, right? You mentioned the Union's bread and butter last season was a lot of the, like the combination, real quick one touch, combos of like 5-6 passes where, it started, it was, in the back third, and all of a sudden, 4 passes and 6 seconds later it's upfield and somebody's running in on goal. And I don't think you see that a lot this year. And I'm not really sure what that can be chalked up to. I think losing Aronson hurt, but I think that's too simple of an answer, right? Sometimes the easy answer isn't the right one. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if maybe somebody's injured enough where they can play, but they're just not making runs. I just something isn't working, and until they can figure that out, maybe it's getting somebody rest and getting them healthy. Maybe it's pushing players positionally, right, like into different roles to kind of, I guess, tinker with the motor a little bit to make it go better. But that's what I see right now. I just see a bunch of chaos. I don't see because like I said, last season you could see them setting up, and it's like, oh, okay, they're gonna yank off this 4-pass combination, and you can kind of see the guys getting it into position, and you don't really see that this year. You see kind of guys scrambling to find something, and there's not much there.
You nailed it. There is a lot of freaking chaos. I mean, back to that whole shuttle part. I mean, Leon Flock, I love Leon Flock, but, I think Zach and Justin have brought this up before. I do think his best position is suited to play as a 6 role. He's not coming back, and he's not getting the ball and trying to bring it up like a shuttler. And you guys know me, Alejandro Bedoya. There will be no Alejandro Bedoya slander on this podcast, but I mean, he is getting older, and I'm real with that, and I realize that. And at times the chemistry with Mbaizo has been iffy. And then up top, Gazdak to me is more facilitator type. And then you have Sergio, who I think is great on the press, and that's the type of stuff he's good at because of that speed. That's scary coming at you full throttle. And then Casper, every now and then Casper looks like a lethal, goal scorer. And then at times it's like, where Casper, where are you at, dude?
Well,
I saw
once every 4 weeks, Casper looks lethal. Or?
You know what killed me, Zach? CONCACAF put out a tweet the other day. It was the top 4 goal scorers from each 4 of the teams, right?
Yeah.
And Casper was put in. They were like, "Who's the best forward?" And I just wanted to hide in a hole. I was like,
I know, because then all the Casper truthers come out the woodwork and be like, "See, look what he does in CCL." I'm like, "Great, awesome. We're still going to lose to Club America, and he doesn't score in the MLS. So what? It doesn't matter.
What are we doing?" Not to quote Taylor 12.
If I can bring up one more point real quick.
Of course.
Something that Jim has said over and over is that in order for this team to win, everybody has to play at their best, right? They don't have that one player that's going to, come in and make that difference. And especially against DC United, there were a couple guys that didn't play their best. And, you mentioned Bedoya. I'm not slandering him. Everybody has a bad game. I didn't think he had the greatest game. I've definitely seen better from him. Flock was another one. I'm not trying to throw these guys under the bus, but if everybody needs to play their best in order to win, you got to kind of look and go, who didn't? I think, those two and Shabilko too didn't really, they didn't have good games, and that's part of the reason it was 3-1 DC United.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, Justin, give it to me, man. What do you got? What left do you have, man, with this DC match?
Well, honestly, I look back at that game, and now the first half wasn't great. You're up, but it wasn't great either to begin with. And I mean, YouTube was right. There's just chaos on this entire roster. Like, it's not that simple of, oh, well, you're missing Brendan and Mark. That's clearly it. No, your defense, this is like the first game where I could say your defense wasn't great. But overall, your defense has been solid. Your midfield, typically not too much of an issue. I don't like, actually, I hate this idea of dueling like 2 10s. Like, no, you have one Pickett. Like, Montero's not a 10. He has, every time it's done it, it's worked for maybe a game, and then it's clear he's not a 10. He's an 8. He's a shuttler. I like Jameer, and I want him on the field, but not as a 10. And my God, we need a damn striker. Like, guys, like, again, every time. And I've been saying this for weeks, and people have been like, oh, well, Casper's been doing so great. Listen, I have defended Casper a lot, and I'll admit that. But I also understand when you have a 10 who likes to play 1-2s, who likes to play that through ball, that is looking to drag defenders, exactly like Dochkow did. But unlike when we had Dochkow, we don't have any forwards to really finish. At least with Dochkow, we had some forwards that like created chances. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they were finishing every time, but at least we were creating those chances. Every time it gets to the final third, it just dies. That's where the link's broken. That's where the chaos is truly an ungodly levels. I don't know. I kept saying, change this, change that. At this point, like, fuck it. I don't know what else to say anymore. I'm just fucking tired of having to
look at what you're doing, Union. Look at what you're doing, Justin.
Over and over again, and trying different permutations of the same damn thing, and going, oh well, it'll definitely work this time. Well, it has been. You're in September. You are clinging on to 5th place. You are still only 3 points back of 2nd place.
It's so horrible.
Wild.
That's the sad thing.
It's
you are
so
still
horrible.
so close to that spot, and yet you are also 5 points on top of the last playoff spot. And that is what is even scarier, that you are sliding away potentially into what I thought was going to be like a 4-5 season, into potentially missing the playoffs if you keep sliding like this.
Yeah, I think Quinn and McGlynn should start every game from here on out. Like, genuinely, like, they should be starting every single game.
We'll definitely get to that in our New England preview, because we got some. We don't even know who we're gonna play with. But that's a great point you bring up, Justin, with the playoffs, because look, going into the season, I was like, all right, last year we were the number 1 seed, we got upsetted. Next year we're gonna be like a lower seed. We're gonna go through our Cinderella story to hoist our MLS Cup. And look, we're still in that place where we can get that lower seed and make a run, but I don't know how we can make a run.
We can't.
I just don't see how we can make a run. Like, we'll eventually, like, Casper wake up in the play. Like, do we see the CCL Casper in the playoffs? Right. I mean, obviously, Gazak needs to feed off. Like, there's just too many question marks for me to go on and say, yeah, they're gonna go through a Cinderella story. Obviously, things can definitely change. But to the Christmas tree point, listen, I agree. I understand what you guys are saying. The 2 10s, and obviously now I know it doesn't work. I was just happy Jim tried something different. If I'm being honest, I was just happy. And that's why I tweeted it out on Saturday. I was like, yes, because I was happy that Jim tried a different formation, because the 4-4-2 diamond just wasn't working per se. And I think they switched back to that diamond. But it was definitely interesting. But last point before we move on to New England, I want to ask you guys about the dressing room. Now, I'm not saying, it's getting chaotic here, but I'm hearing rumblings that the Jamiro situation was more than just a family situation, that there was a blow up that involved Jim and Ernst. And then I'm hearing after Saturday, Kai Wagner not happy. I will say, I felt like Kai Wagner gave up on that last goal. Was that Aguila who scored that last goal for DC United? I felt like Kai could have done a better job defending there. But are you guys concerned at all with the morale of the dressing room? Now, Eugene, I'll let you start here, man. Everyone needs deep breaths.
I mean, it's always so hard to kind of know what's going on behind closed doors, right? Like, you know, we can try and look at the body language and pick up on rumors, but you know, at the end of the day, it's so hard to kind of decipher, you know, what happens and what the situation is. I think, you know, the play lately hasn't been that good, and I think the club, you know, I think the players know that, and I think that sort of thing feeds into players being unhappy. Everybody's happy when you're winning,
Right.
You know, when you're not, that's when you start to notice runs. You know, your teammates not making the runs you think they should, or pulling the weight you think they should, and you know, that's when that situation, those sorts of situations can arise. You know, I don't have any insider information. I'm
Right.
not pretending to, but you know, I think, you know, if they can pull off a couple of wins, you know, guys get back into form, I don't think any of this is an issue. You know, I think with as far as Jamiro goes, I think even just looking at his like play, it's obvious he was away from the team for a while and he's not fully in sync. And
Right.
you know, does that have anything to do with off the field stuff? Like, I don't know. I would chalk it mostly up, you know, just knowing what I know, just to him not being around and not playing for a while. You know, that sort of thing takes a little bit to get back, and it's that's especially tough again when your team's not playing all that well. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily chalk it up to you know, some fractured locker room or some blow up or something like that. I don't know. That's just me.
I got you. Justin or Zach, if you guys want to add anything else before we move on.
I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily a completely fractured locker room. I just think that this has been a really weird year, and I think part of it is, yeah, like with Jamiro, part of it, yes, was him missing his family. His family's back. I think he's always been kind of a bit of a personality in the locker room. Like, you've kind of put up with it because when it comes down to it, he was one of your better players, but he has not had a great season. And I think now, I mean, Kai last year, you saw the end of last year when he started thinking his shit didn't stink, and the transfer stuff, and he had one foot out the door, and then he had a absolute bomb of a game against New England in the playoffs, and it was very apparent he was not in the right headspace there, thinking mainly about the transfers. And at this point, you were just like, you know what, like, I just think there's, I don't know what Jim has to do to get these guys on the same page. Like, last year, it seemed so easy, and it wasn't like you had like a crazy, you know, roster with terms of like overpowered star players, or even like you just had the team working well as a unit. I just don't feel that same cohesion anymore. So it's not fractured, but something feels up.
It's definitely weird because I've always held Jim to a high regard when it comes to leadership. I mean, you guys can criticize his tactics all you want. I sometimes I can understand where you guys are coming from, but as far as him being a leader of men in a dressing room, I've never questioned that. The way they handled last year was spectacular. You know, in a year where we had a COVID shutdown, I think Casper was the first one to, you know, catch COVID first. It was all definitely it was just new for everyone. And you know, the way they handled the MLS is back, you know, showing up in the first game with the names of the, you know, the fallen people to Bruce Brutality, I thought that was brilliant. And the way they went through the whole season with the rumors of Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie to win the Supporter Shield. So to me, it's just I agree with you guys. I don't want to believe any of that type of stuff just because we know who Jim is. But I definitely agree. It's definitely interesting. But gentlemen, I know we're upset, but we have a match tomorrow. We have a match tomorrow night here in Chester against a team that we hate, New England Revolution, and it feels like now they kind of own us, right? I don't remember the last time we actually beat New England, the 6 times that we beat them last year in the regular season. But It's gonna be a tough one. Obviously, New England is the Supporter Shield runner right now. I think they have the most points right now, so they're in the lead of that. They're definitely running away with the Eastern Conference. But both sides are definitely going to be missing players. It's obviously World Cup qualifiers. We can talk about and argue whether or not we should be playing tomorrow night, anyways. But when you look at New England, no Matt Turner, no Adam Busca, no Tajon Buchanan for the Union. The Jamaican trio are gone with Jamaica. They're playing tonight against Mexico. Andre Blake, Corey Burke, Alvis Powell, of course, with Venezuela, Jose Brujo Martinez. I saw he is starting tonight for Venezuela, so that's big news for Jose. We'd love to see that for him. I'm assuming Jamiro is starting for Cape Verde. I haven't seen who they are playing, and of course Daniel Gaz that came on for some minutes for Hungary as they were facing off against England. So there is a lot of players being missed here, but obviously the Union are hurt more from it. I'll start with Zach here, man. Number one, man, what do you see this team lining up in tomorrow? Just to start off there.
I think that it will be the typical 4-1-2-1-2 with probably Finley. You got maybe Harrell right back, I guess.
Please give me Nate, bro.
It looks like it's going to have to be unless they go 3 at the back. But even then, you still need wing back. So I would assume they'll go 4 at the back with Wagner and Harrell. Flock at the 6, probably Ali and McGlynn with, I don't know if you play Quinn at the 10 or Paxton or who, but I suspect Jim to go with the same old Casper and Sergio up top, which sucks because I'd love to see Paxton, Quinn, and Sergio. That would be my front 3, I think, if I were managing. And to go back to what you said about Jim, just real quick sidebar.
Yeah.
It's I think managing professional soccer is 90% managing egos and 10% tactics. And Jim is able to, well, at least he has been in the past, able to manage those egos and do it in a way where the team stays successful. Like if you look at Zidane at Real Madrid, tactics-wise, I would assume he was just like, you guys go out there and you play soccer because you guys know how to do that. But in terms of managing egos, at a club like Real Madrid, where you had Ronaldo and Ramos and Benzema and Bale and all these guys, you probably couldn't have found a better manager at doing that. They won 3 Champions Leagues in a row for a reason. So I agree with you. I think I question Jim's tactics probably more than anyone. But like you said, managing
find
egos.
some more people.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, his ability to manage egos and control locker room is impressive, and I think that's very important. I think his main problem is he has his system, and he's very reluctant to go away from it, as opposed to like seeing which personnel he has and shaping a system to match that personnel. And I think that's a big thing in soccer is like a lot of coaches have their system, right? Like Tuchel has his thing, right? 5 at the back, all that stuff. What happens if he goes now? Most of the time, he'll go to a team with the pieces in place already. But if he goes to a team and he's not there when the window, he's there when the window ends, like he comes in mid-season or whatever, and he can't bring in the pieces, does he force square pegs into round holes, or does he adjust his lineup and his formation and how he wants his team to play to fit the personnel that he has in the club? And I think that's something that Jim could definitely work on.
That's a really good point, man. I never thought of it like that. I always just felt like Jim just doesn't want to change up the tactics, but it's I haven't thought about the personnel. That's a very good point you bring up there, Zach. Justin, what players do we have here? What can you see the potential lineup being here?
I'm going full wild card here. So in the back, I think it's gonna be.
Just don't give me Kevin Kincaid tactics here. No 3-6-1.
Nothing wrong with a 3-6-1.
I think in the back, it's definitely gonna be Matty Freeze. I think he's your.
Happy birthday, by the way.
I forgot
think
to
he's
mention the goalie because I'm so used to just Blake being there, and I totally forgot that.
I mean, de facto, like I know they say Joe, but I think if Matt's available, which I haven't heard anything to suggest he isn't, I definitely think he is. Your back line's gonna look mostly different. Jack's on yellow card suspension, so you've got Kai obviously still here. You got Jakob and Finley. I mean, really, your only other center backs. Colin will be on the bench. That's for certain, unless he's hurt. I haven't heard. I don't know. At this point, you haven't. If you haven't heard anything about Colin, you assume he's still around somewhere.
We'll ask Courtney.
Somewhere with his proverbial short of shorts.
Can't go too short.
And I think you're right back. I think Nate gets the start. I mean, the only other person I heard being potentially was Real, but I don't know. I don't.
On the right, really?
Has he ever played?
Yeah, they've talked about it, but I think at this point you got to just go with a right back. I think your midfield is where I think it gets really interesting. I think Leon's gonna be your 6.
Okay.
Obviously, I think Ali gets time. They had talked about him at right back, but I think Jim even said just doesn't like they're not going to force it. Then I think because of how how many players you're missing, I think you do Quinn and Paxton. I think you have Quinn as that shuttler, and I think you have Paxton as a 10, or you could flip them. I think both could work at either position. And up top, from the comments I heard from Jim's press conference, I don't know if Sergio's going to start. I think he might realistically more come off the bench, just because they're not sure. He kind of took a bit of a knock, and so they were talking probably like it's good enough where he can be on the bench, but I think you're talking 20, 30 minutes tops. So I think up top, I think you're gonna have Casper and Davo. I think Davo gets a start.
Oh,
I know they said they don't want to rush him in, but what better game?
Yeah, on it with no expectations. With no
expectations. There's you're missing like at least a third of your roster. Jimmy even said there's no way they're going to be able to make a full 20. So you're talking what, maybe 17 players like total if you're lucky, and 3 of those are going to be goalies. Like,
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. And I think at this point, what do you have to lose? You're playing against a New England team that's going to be missing a few of their key players. It's a game which I really don't think should be played because there's like a good decent amount of teams in the league that aren't playing, that are off this week. Like, why not just get the whole league off?
Like every other league in the world.
Yeah, I think this is really dumb, but whatever. MLS gonna MLS. So if not, I'm gonna pull a line out of It's Always Sunny, wild card bitches, and let's just go. Let's go. Why not? What do we have to lose? Really?
Nothing.
Really? Yeah. You have what? Maybe a couple games before CCL. I really think at this point, Jim just go.
CCL's over.
Yeah, like let's just kind of wild card it and see what happens. Like, I think you've got to give these kids a shot. At this point, you have not given them much of a shot. You have not played well. You're in a position where you need some points.
Yeah.
Why not? New England's
true.
Slightly down too. Like,
shoot the ball a lot.
Yeah, seriously.
Shoot.
I mean, heck,
except for Brujo's not here, so we don't have to worry about 30
I was
yards,
say,
30 yards over the net. But
yeah, I was say we don't have to worry about Tajon Buchanan, who gave up a pretty bad PK to Andy Nahar, and Honduras is up 1-0 right now.
Oh man!
But listen, that's the one player I'm always concerned about. The other player I'm always concerned about, unfortunately, might be coming back, which does concern me.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. It's curious. You guys haven't talked about Anthony Fontana. I saw he returned back into training, and I would figure in a situation like this, like, why not slide him in at the 10? but I don't know exactly how he looks per se. But Eugene, what do you see this lineup potentially looking like, man? With how thin we are.
It really is a matter of who's healthy and who's available, right? I think, like you guys were saying, I think the expectations for this one are pretty low, and you never want to concede a game, or you never want to go, well, we're losing this one, but
especially in the soup.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a game where the expectations are low enough, where if somebody is, I thought earlier that somebody may be battling, some sort of injury that wasn't serious enough to normally keep them out, but was preventing them from playing well. If that's the case, this is the game you sit them. This is the game you play the kids. This is the game, Fontana's ready, you put him in. If Quinn and those guys, you want to get the minutes. Well, let's get them some minutes. They're going to be going up against a New England side that, for pretty much all intents and purposes, is at full strength, right? Like, yeah, they're losing Buxa, they're losing Buchanan and goalkeeper Turner, but they still have a lot of guys. They got a guy like La Pantera Bo, who it can just ruin a team. You know
him well. You know him well. You
anywhere and everywhere.
I watched him for years in Tijuana, and man, some of the stuff that guy did was just unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Now we got to deal with him in
one
of our rivals.
And if Carlos Hill comes back, dude.
Now, why would they play him?
Because this will be like when a baseball player goes down to like AAA to come back from an injury. That's what playing this Union team is going to be.
Are we the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs?
Yeah, we are the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs.
Just called us the Iron Pigs.
We are the Iron Pigs at the moment.
I think it's more along the lines of this is a divisional rival, and if you can turf their lawn, you turf their lawn.
Yeah, that's also a good point. I think calling us the Iron Pigs is better for the narrative, though.
I'm sure Bruce still remembers last season, and he's going to remind them. He's a great motivator. I clown him all I do, but
not a good dresser.
No, not really. His clothing is not flattering in the slightest.
You can't. It's tough to keep up with Jim, right? Jim is this golden standard right now.
When do we think suited Jim's going to come back? Is that like a cold weather thing? You don't think it's ever coming back?
Why would
listen,
you?
Man, the man's got too good of a shoe game.
Yeah, I guess, but just wear a suit with the baby blue Jays, man. Like, why not?
Because you're standing up there for 90 minutes. Sometimes
I would trust me as a manager.
So
I would never go with this. Like, that would be the last thing I'd wear. But the team's
Jordans.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The dude's shoe game is on point.
No, a suit with Jim could pull it off, like for sure. Like a nice tailored suit with like cuffed bottoms, and it really just shows off the Jordans. I think it would be fantastic.
This is where Zach Sedia narrative comes in, because he's used to like managers with the slick back hair and the suits with the turtlenecks.
Give me
what about a tracksuit?
Give me Gattuso, and I will be happy. Give me Gattuso.
You want that kind of violent, chaotic energy?
That is what.
Sometimes good, sometimes shit.
Tell me that the casual Philadelphia Union fan would not love Gennaro Gattuso. Tell me they would not.
Yeah, we'll get South Philly in the chest all the time, man.
He would be a hit.
Oh my god. So back to this match. Honestly, guys, it kind of feels like it's going to be one of those matches. Let's face it. The Union, when it's situations like this, they always seem to show up. Like, it always seems to be that way. And I just have this weird feeling about tomorrow night. I hope that I am right, but I just feel like they're just going to show up and steal some points from New England. It should be interesting. But let's get to the nitty gritty predictions here, guys. Let's start out with Eugene. You are our special host, and you've done a fantastic job today, my man.
Hey, thank you.
Start off with you, my man. What do you see happening tomorrow?
Man, it's been chaos. Why not pull for chaos? I think if they, you said something and it made a lot of sense. They always seem to show up for these games, right? And if they do play the kids, if they do play some of these guys that don't get a whole lot of looks and don't get a whole lot of minutes, I can see Jim whipping them up into you want to show me you deserve minutes. You're going to go out there. You're going to go out there and prove that you can hang. That I've been doing you wrong all these weeks, and getting some real good performances out of guys. And if he can pull that off, I don't they're at home. Maybe I'm just kind of talking myself into the result I want. That's entirely possible.
I think we all are.
Now that I'm like thinking about it, it could very easily be like a 2-1 Union win, or could not. I don't know. I hate doing these things, man. Like I'm so bad at predicting scores because it's it's like rolling dice.
At least money's not on the line, Eugene. So there you go. Justin, what do you got for me, man? What's gonna happen tomorrow?
I think Eugene might be right on that. I think, listen, he's gonna, these kids are under. I think he's gonna feed these kids, like pixie sticks and get them hopped up on sugar and just kind of throw them out there and just that kind of chaotic, wild energy. And I've been talking myself at I think it would be lucky if it was a draw with heel back. It might be a loss. The more we've been talking about it and the more frustrated I've gotten, I think I've just kind of came to that point where like my fuck it meter is like through the roof. So at this point I'm not sure exactly what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm going 3-1, and Jesus Christ, sorry.
He's making it dramatic. I'm in. Let's go.
Sorry,
let's go.
Fantasy football draft. I got in like 5 minutes.
Justin, where are you picking from?
Just draft Andre Blake number 1 overall.
I meant no. I meant what position in the draft, Justin? Come on.
6.
6? Oh, that's where I got the 6th pick on Sunday.
But so I'm thinking I'm going to say 3-1 Union. I think the kids are going to have a hand in every goal. I think
it definitely won't be Casper. No, you know what? This is the game where everyone's written off Casper, and he's going to come in and score like 3, and everyone's going to be like, he's the greatest striker ever. And I'm going to be sitting here like, he's not. He's going to disappoint you for the next 3 weeks, and then he'll do it again. But this is the game. This is the game where
you know what, Zach? You might not want to hear this, but I feel like when it's all said and done for Casper in Philadelphia, we're gonna look at him the same way that Eagles fans look at Donovan McNabb. I think Casper on paper is going to be the best striker in Union history. I think he's going to get that. He's going to get the most goals in Union history. And then we're all going to be looking at him like, but he didn't do this. He didn't do that. But then you can't look. I mean, look at the success we've had under Casper.
I think the difference. I don't think you could ever call him the best striker in Union history because Sebastian Ledoux not only has 50 goals, but he has 50 assists, and that is something that you just can't. And that's what this team's missing. You are missing a guy who can get 50-50.
Like, that's easy. Sebastian still lives here. Dude, suit up, Seba.
No, he's in the stadium every night for the games. He's there. They just got to bring him on.
I wonder how much love he's gotten in Zach. That'd be funny to watch. But Zach, while you're at it, man, give us your prediction.
I'm going 4-3 New England.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think, and I pray, like I would love to just not see Casper at all in this game. I would love for like Quinn and Davo to start up top with Paxton at the 10, and then McGlynn at the 1 center mid spot with Allie at the other one. That would be awesome. Like I would love life, but that's probably not going to happen. I think Carlos Heel is going to play, and I think he's going to tear us apart because that's what he does to everybody. The man, I believe, has 15 assists in 15 games, which is one of the more ridiculous stats I've heard. And yeah, their attack, like even without the guys that they're missing, like Gustavo Bo is still a huge issue.
Yeah, I agree, man.
So yeah, I'm going 4-3. I think Quinn scores again. I think he gets another one, and it's going to be very good.
Jeez, how's he going to score this one?
I don't know, but he's going to scorpion kick this time. Scorpion kick. That's how he's getting it. That's the only other option he's got. He's got the banger. He's got the bite.
I know.
He's just got the scorpion left.
Oh my God, this guy's. Golossos.
Yeah. But yeah, 4-3 New England. And I think, again, Jim's going to be like, we don't do moral victories. And I'll be like, all the kids played awesome. We do moral victories. Now play them with the other guys who start normally, and we'll do actual victories. And that's how we move forward.
Here's what I will say to all the Union fans. If the kids show up tomorrow and we play well and we win, I will admit that I am wrong and you guys are right and play the kids every single stinking game.
Every game.
I'll admit. I'm a man enough to admit when I'm wrong. I will admit when I'm wrong if that does happen. All right, guys, that is going to do it for yet again another episode of DOOP by the River. This was a fun one, gentlemen. This was truly a fun one. The Union aren't giving us the brightest of moments on the pitch, but that is part of being a fan. We ride with the highs and we ride with the lows. At the end of the day, when you cut us, we still bleed the blue and gold. Please don't cut us, though. Please don't cut us. I want to take a quick second. Eugene, seriously, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. It was truly a pleasure talking to you. Getting the perspective. You are a Union fan, but you watch so much Liga MX, and you give us a different perspective. So truly, thank you, Eugene, and hopefully we can do this again, my man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm always honored when you think to bring me on. Like that's just such a cool thing for me, and it's cool to be on here and to talk about the Union. I watch them as much as I can. I mean, my job now is covering Liga MX, but I try and watch as much Union as I can. I'm still a fan. I still live here. I was hoping to go to the Club America game, but they sold out tickets before I could snap one up. So sucks to be me, but hopefully I'll get back to the stadium at some point soon.
Yeah, man, definitely. We'll you know what, Eugene, we'll have to talk about that. We'll definitely have to talk about it. We have to swing some or cut some strings loose or something like that over there. But we'll definitely talk about that. Zach, my man. So what are you gonna do tomorrow to watch the match?
I'm gonna sit at home and hopefully enjoy myself.
Could be a long way for you.
Because I didn't enjoy myself the last time they played. So that hopefully is the difference in the two viewing experiences.
Oh man. Well, Justin, my friend, I will see you tomorrow. And if we win the way you guys have said, I swear to God, I'm going wherever I'm at in the tree. I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna kiss that bald head, man. I'm gonna kiss that bald head, man, because I hope I'm right, but I just don't know. I just flat out don't know. But guys, we do have to head out here. So seriously, thank you so much, Eugene, and thank you so much to Justin and Zach for tuning on or for hopping on in today. I love my co-hosts here, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget to like and subscribe to both Philly Sports Network and El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel. We'll try to get more on PSN. Thank you so much, PSN, for having us again. And guys, of course, you can find DOOP by the River on PSN Radio. PSN Radio is wherever you stream podcasts. You can find all your favorite Philly Sports Network podcasts on there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Zach Lobasso. That is Eugene Rapinski. And, of course, that is Justin, the Union fourth-string goalkeeper, Freiburg. And, of course, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly. And we're telling you guys to DOOP on. Talk to you guys next week. Let's go, Union!